Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Grumman Pilot's YouTube channel. And today we're looking back to 1997 Sun and Fun. And this will be part 1 and part 2. It's kind of long, but it's actual video, so you get to hear everything that went on in the Grumman tent. So please enjoy this and stay tuned. So we would like to ask you please subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the notify to stay current with our content.
Normally one thick one is what's adequate. If you need more than that, use the thick one and the thin one. If you use less, you obviously use the thin one.
It doesn't matter which order.
No. You're just taking up space. Maintenance on it, you want to take the fork off, clean that out, those little holes back in there, and watch in the hole, look right at the back, in the front, top, and bottom, and watch for wear on that kind of a cream-colored plastic, a yellow plastic that's bonded to that bronze. Okay, the bearings inside of that, inside of the fork, a Teflon that's perforated. It's got round holes in it to hold grease. Okay, and it's bonded to some type of a bimetal type material that's part bronze and part whatever. I don't know what it is. That surface wears down to the point that eventually you'll get into the metal. Okay, if that is worn enough that you can come back here, let's say here's your fork back here, that you can lift up and down on it and it'll cock back and forth, those bearings need to be replaced. There's two bearings, there's two sleeves in there, and after, maybe, out of every 10 of those bushings I would put in, I'd probably destroy one or two. I finally built a tool, a fixture for the press that locks it up so it doesn't destroy it anymore. And it presses them in. There's real tricks to putting them in, and one of the services we do lots of times, we keep forks on hand that are done, especially the late model cast ones. And which hardly ever go anything wrong with them. Those things wear out, and so we will do an exchange with people that don't want to either do it themselves or trust their mechanic to rack $724 bearings. And otherwise you want $100 exchange or something like that we charge them. And if we strip the thing, beat blast it, etch it, outline it, send it back like a brand new part, it's a little more than that. I forget what it is now. It's around 150 or so. But some of those things come in and we do quite a bit of corrosion on them. Okay, anyway, so you got your fork on here, and you set it down here. Now, what you want on the bottom is you have a large diameter steel flat washer.
It's very thin.
Very thin one. That goes at the very top. Okay, then you want one of the spring washers that's rim facing up. The next one, the rim faces down. The next one, the rim faces up. So you have that type of affair. And then the smaller diameter steel washer, which is it's an AN 970 10M6, if I remember right. Where this other one up here is a special washer. It's got a bell and part number on it. And you can stack more of these as needed to take up space to put your nut on there with the castles to get it lined up. Now, some people say put 4 of them in, some people say put 3 of them in, some people say cut 2 of them like this and 2 of them like that.
That's the right way.
I tend to go with this. You go in the maintenance manual, and they give you the different variations over the years they've used. And the problem of it is they're talking about different part numbers that they've used, and some are stronger, some are not. You got a point?
The bell washer, if you stack it, you get more force. If you series it, as you have drawn there, you get less force. The factory with their 12 foot-pounds of force on the nose gear that's in the maintenance manual, with them in series, works just fine, except it doesn't work on the airplane.
I've done hundreds of them without fail it works.
Okay, but if you use them in series and you get greater than the 12 put down some torque.
18 to 22 with a wheel fairing.
Okay, then you've mashed the bell mills completely flat. You have to parallel them to have any give it off at the higher torque on the nut, which gives you the torque on the.
Yeah. Well, anyway, like I say, there's differences of opinions on them. I've done it that way for years. I've had very good luck with them. Like I said, if they got a wheel fairing, I can crank them up to 18 pounds. Without a wheel fairing, 12. And so it probably doesn't make a whole lot of difference which way you stack them when it comes right down to it, as long as it doesn't shimmy. But that's,
if you put torque on
but that's the, I have a little sticker one for back of the airplane, personally.
Oh, yeah, it's easy.
Yeah. Okay. You have a question?
Yeah, what's wrong with 12 to 14 is called out in the manual part of the fork light?
Nothing as long as it doesn't shimmy.
Okay.
If it shimmies, tighten up a little more. One thing I want to mention, this goes real shimmy is the age-old controversy. Many times, without somebody watching from the outside, you can't tell from inside the airplane whether it's doing this or doing that. They feel the same. And if you have an out-of-balance nose tire, that sucker's going to jump up and down on you like wild. And I've seen taking off a formation, I've seen a nose wheel actually oscillating probably a total of 12 inches. Unbelievable. Yes?
And does that apply when you're talking about full face, one, two face airplane?
Yes. So what? Yeah.
What's the safe way to jacket for making a nose wheel?
I use a sawhorse underneath the fuselage in front, and down on the tail I'll have to walk around and get on the spar in the back just forward of the elevator. Don't push down that, on the front spar because you crease it. And don't sit on it. One's not heavy enough, get two. Push it down while somebody else goes up and puts the thing on. If you're by yourself, you obviously can't push down the tail and then walk around and push the sawhorse in. If you got a tie-down leg, you can actually, get a rope, suck the tail down, and tie it down. I don't recommend pulling the nose straight off that way because the rope might give, or I say the tie-down come out of the ground. But that might hold it till you get a sawhorse under it. The other way would be to get an engine hoist, put a rope around the prop and lift it. That's also a fairly safe alternative. So we'll have to work around the engine mount though. Okay. Any other questions on this one?
One question,
Yeah.
You mentioned on the bearing of the fork there, how much play do you have, 1,000? 10,000?
It should be pretty small. Pretty small, because if it starts to get play, it's going to wear. And I've seen them, let's put a wheel pad on this thing, and I've seen them that you could lift the back of the wheel pad up and down as much as 3 inches. Oh, they were out. And the whole fork was junk on that one, but it was beyond the bearings were, it got cleared. Just keep it low, not before the spot. The spindle, that was it. It wore into the metal cement, so it wore the spindle like this. Yes?
How often should that nose strut be pulled out and chromated? That once a year?
Good point. Good question. Annually is what is called out in the maintenance checklist. It depends on who's doing it. If you know for sure it came out last year, the year before that, where the airplane is lived, not necessarily how many hours it's got on it, but where it's lived. If it sits outside here in Florida or something, I'd say it's a good idea to pull it every year. It grease the heck out of it. If it's lived in the hangar in Albuquerque, you're probably safe to pull it every 10 years. But once, that thing should be brought up with, although the manual says to chromate it, or put it in a wrap and this kind of stuff, the factory didn't follow that manual. They didn't know that manual existed, and that's when they should have had it built. So So they were stuck in bare metal against bare metal, and you got 4340 against 4130, which has a big affinity for each other. They love to get together and breed. Can't get them apart, and I'm sure more than one of you in here has been through the exercise of breaking one of them loose. And
Can we see a show of hands on that? I mean, we don't have to get it once. I'm curious.
Yeah, it takes 5 people. It takes one guy squirting, two guys hanging on a 10-foot pole to break it loose. One guy squirting penetrant on it when it starts to move, and 2 guys to hold the wing tips to keep the airplane from flipping over. How? No, it's, if you have that problem, call me or David Fletcher. If you can't get a hold of somebody else that's got the equipment who can coach you on how to do it. I got an old nose fork that was made up, and then we made later on a pipe, something like what Fletcher's got out. It's a welded up thing that fits on it so you can get out on a 10-foot pipe and bend it. Don't try to use just one pipe, slide it up and inside it, because you bend that 2-inch pipe. And I designed the thing to go on the end of a motor power, so that once you get it broke loose and rotate it 90 degrees, so the curve will stick it up like this in relation to the airplane. This motor power piece goes and catches underneath the collar, and it's a piece of angle iron with fatting on it. It catches, and then it's got a cut coming out this direction that the porta power then goes in. Goes back up. Here's your firewall, and where your shocks are, if you got shocks, or if you got just bad doors, or then put a 2x4 across the firewall, and then the pad and the porta power on that. And you start putting pressure against it while you wiggle it, and it pushes it right on out. You can get it out about halfway, and then you got to pull it from there after it starts to cock. But that saves that blade out 15 minutes where you can spend many hours trying to beat that thing out and yank it. They just don't have to come.
So you breathe zinc chromate that or breathe?
Oh, no, the first thing you do when you get the thing out is you inspect it. If you got pitting around it, bead blast it. And then look down, I forget now what the depth is, but it's relation to the wall thickness, and it seems to me like it's 30 thousandths. If you got a pit that extends more than 30 thousandths in it, I mean, that's like taking a needle and bumping down in it and checking. It's supposed to scrap the nose strut. And that will occur right at the very end of the strap. Let's go ahead and draw a strap here. Okay, and here's where your yoke goes in. That'll be your first bolt. The point that's going to show up will be right around this area. That's you look for rust and pitting. And obviously, if you've got deep rust in there, you can get stress cracks and it can break off right there. I've got one that I use for show and tell sometimes, and right down here, obviously. It's a center section of the control of the torque tube and yoke with a piece of nose strut in it that was rusted completely off. There was a guy in North Carolina, I can't remember his name right now. He landed, taxied in, made the first turn off the runway, made the second turn, the nose gear folded on it. It just fell off. I mean, it was just completely rusted through. And that was on a Yankee, and that was from that boot that we, all the ones that don't have shock absorbers on it. You got this boots made out of apple seal material. They're supposed to have a drain hole right here. If they don't have a drain hole, that thing will fill up with water. If your airplane leaks, and you'll see water lines on this thing right up through there where that thing's just set under there, just encrusted with rust, and that's what happened to him. And year after year, you can imagine how many years it took to do that. You're supposed to at least look at that thing every year. So, yeah.
Yeah, I got one other thing. There's a summer you struck that. this area, mud dump is real famous for getting up there and close enough that we'll drain holes, at least on angle, we don't run water up in there, make sure that at least water will not stand.
Yeah, very good point he's got there. Everybody get that? There's a drain hole right through this bolt that sticks out of the bottom of your spindle. That's supposed to be clear so that water can drain out of it. Another good point on that, if you got any ACF 50 corrosion X or anything like this around, you got that yoke out, that straight out, spray that thing full of that foaming penetrant, and let it drip out and stay in there. Corrosion X sells an automotive product called Corrosion Control, or Corrosion Solutions. It's a yellow can and a blue can, and it's formulated more for steel, where the Corrosion X is for aluminum. And they have a thickened version of it. The blue can is thickened. It's for spraying on undercarriages. And I use quite a lot of that for steel stuff, landing gear parts and stuff. Even like that Cougar sprayed up in the landing gear wells and stuff, because it stuff won't wash out. But that's what I use in here is the thickened version of that and spray it down in, because it still crawls. And once it's all, you can't wash it off with a high pressure hose. It keeps the inside of the thing from rusting. What more time have I got, Bob? Should I get moving?
Oh, maybe about another 15 minutes, and then we'll be switching subjects. I had an extended question on this about the strut. I've got an old Traveler with one of the original struts in it, so it's the shortest length strut. And I understand there's at least 2 or 3 different strut options.
Effectively, there's 3. They've made 7 different struts, different part numbers, but the other changes is what dictated. The Yankees was the 501, and that was replaced with the 502, the 503. But essentially, you have the 503, which is the real short one, the 505, which was on most Travelers, and the AA1B 74, 75, 76, and on the 1Cs. And then when the 507 was used on the Cheetah and the Tiger. And between the 503 and the 507, there's about 3.5 to 4 inches difference. That's quite a lot. 506 and 507 is 3/4 of an inch difference. Did that answer?
Yeah, that's just, I'm not looking at having to do that.
Incidentally, the Frank Johnson PMA struts are actually a heavier pipe than the originals were. And you won't find too many originals around, but occasionally you run into one. I'm talking about new, but used. You won't find it, but the Johnson bags, we call them, are very good product. Yes?
And Kevin, when you replace your strut, do you go back with the paint method or the grease method?
I'm going to have a what?
Do you go back in with paint or grease?
Oh, excuse me, that's right, I didn't answer that long ago. Okay, I like to bead blast the entire strut, because you get raw chips in there, you get rust and stuff going into them, somebody's painted over them, and you find a lot of corrosion underneath of what's normally good paint. So I like to put stripper on them and then bead blast them, or you can sandblast a strut because it's steel, and inspect it thoroughly, and then I chromate primer or epoxy primer the whole strut all the way up, and then just mask it off and paint the white or whatever color I'm going to. If I don't do that, I clean it off and I paint chromate on the thing, but I do that, with chromate. I take a hone and go inside of the toilet of the yoke, clean that out, hose it out real good, and what I use for the lubricant is that blue Corrosion Solutions, and spray that in there, and also spray the strut full of it, and shove it in there good and wet with that, wipe it down, put the silicone on, and if it's an airplane we maintain, we go every other year on pulling that out. If it's one that we don't normally maintain, we pull it.
I did all that to a strut many years ago, and there was no room for the strut to go back up in the hole. It was too big after I painted it.
Yeah, you gotta be careful how much paint you put on. And there's a little trick to that, is after you get that thing cleaned, when you get the thing home out, take that strip and put it back up in there and see what rattle you got. Yeah, I mean, there's some of them rattle around pretty good, and some of them require shimming with shim stock, which is permissible. You can shim that thing with a shim top, bottom, or one only. And if I remember right, you can go up to as high as 10 thousandths top and bottom, so 20 thousandths pickup in there. Of course, obviously you can't shim through where the bolts go. But yeah, there's quite a tolerance to it. And a lot of that got stuck. But when you got the thing out, you put it back in, it was quite loose. It was just the rust and crud that was taking that space. But yeah, if you got a tight one, go very sparing on that chromate because, well, I mean, obviously if you just have to get it on there, it's going to whip it off when you put it in anyway. So, but the perfection would be that thing just barely slides right up in there without ripping the paint off, and a little lubricant stays in. Yeah, grease works fine too. Yes.
Paint is so tight that no layer of paint will remain. If it's just peeling the paint right off it, no matter how thin it is, would you advise that we sand down the size of it or go in with LPS or what?
If it's that tight, it wouldn't hurt to take some Christmas cloth or something and work it a little bit, because you got to have at least a film of lubricant stay on there. It's going to rust. And I would not be opposed to foregoing paint. You know, LPS 3 or whatever you got to put in there, this stuff. If you've got one that's not painted, definitely pull that thing out every year. Yes.
I think I could hold the nose up there. Can you go, suppose you want to actually jack the plane, continue with that now and raise, get your horse under the bottom, raise.
So the box.
I suppose it's possible. It seems like a long way around about jacking up nose. But I better recommend getting the nose off at the same time the main's off.
I'm wondering how much spread the load.
It's in the book.
Yeah, just for safety's sake, I just take a 2-4 that's at least 48 inches, 40 inches, it goes all the way across. But I got one, I got leather carpet on it, and I just set that on top of another sawhorse and stick it under there. And times I, run like a screw through it to hold it on, but
Oh, it's not heavy.
there's not much weight to it. Once you get that weight shifted, you get that tail about halfway down, it goes real easy. So it's not a lot of pressure you're holding up on at that point.
Well, I'm not actually raising the plane up on the horse.
Oh, put the mains on. Put the main gear on.
Take the main gear off. Yeah.
Oh, okay, if you want to pull the main, I would jack the nose, and, either way. When we do that, we put the sawhorses under both ends, and I use an engine hoist. At that point, we generally got the tail off too, so I just hook to the back bulkhead with an engine hoist and hoist the tail up here and put it underneath. But I push the tail down first, get the one on the front, and lift the back up.
We did it by hand up in...
Yeah, I was going to say, we did a little field maintenance on one, and anyway, the guy decided to drop test his landing gear from about 60 feet. It flunked. And we flew it out of there, 2 days later or something like that. Control fuel, tighter, and I think we had, 5 people under each wing. Everybody stood up at the same time, and 2 ladies shoved sawhorses under. I got video of that, too. Okay, somebody else had one. There we go.
Fuel tank leak.
God love you. Yes.
It's right under the spar.
Yes.
Normal.
Yes. What do you do?
You're a good man.
Now, I'm trying to think of who sent because I don't want the job. Let me follow through with this and I'll get you just a second. Okay. Okay, go ahead and ask yours. I'll cut you both then.
Southeastern United States, same problem. Anybody's got a solution?
Yeah, well, the solution is is very complicated. As far as the procedure of fixing it correctly, it's really very simple. First thing is take the wing off. Don't try to fix it with it on the airplane. You won't succeed. That's probably, you got maybe a 1 in 5 chance of success. And don't try to goop sealant over old sealant. You got to go in there and find out where your problem is. Find out, you'll be able to tell from the inside you got soft, gooey, gummy sealant wherever it's permeated with fuel. And you got to totally scrape that clean. I'll coat it with ketone or acetone, and then go in there and put the new sealant back in. And I advise using a double layer of sealant. Cardinals Aerospace is the vendor. It's PRC is the brand. PR1422. B consistency is thick. A consistency is brushable. You go ahead first with B. And I prefer to use B2, which gives you a 2-hour work life. It's a 72-hour full cure. B1.5 gives you a half-hour work life. It's 48-hour cure. The B2 is a little bit better sealant, and you need more time to work with it. At that point, you got the airplane part anyway. You're not going to fly next weekend, so much another day or so to cure it. But anyway, let it cure it with the B2, with the B consistency, and then go back in and brush over all of the affected area with the A consistency. And I like to actually stand the wing on end and run it in when it's a spar leak. And I've made up access covers that have gaskets on them that will hold enough pressure. I can pressurize the tank with enough sealant in there. And I've actually done that. Just put about 2 psi on it and left it for about an hour. I use a compression tester so it can't get more than that once you've set it. And it'll sit there, and what leaks out, it keeps replacing it and holds a steady pressure. And it just keeps a little pressure on the thing, so if you do have pinholes or something, it'll tend to pressurize in. When you first turn the tank, pull the thing off, I like to pressurize them, squirt them with soap suds, try to find out what's coming out. And that's not necessarily what's coming in, but it gives you a good clue. And it's a very time, teeth grinding, mechanics quitting,
but it's easier than the money.
Having never done a movie, I can't attest to that, but I've heard that too. Except the movie, you do it from the top, so at least you're not upside down. That's the purpose of pulling the wing, because it's difficult to work upside down backwards when you can't see. You eliminate one of those factors, at least you're not upside down. It helps. Yeah, Al?
What about the guy in the Mooney? That the Mooney guy that used to be on he was on the desk for a while there advertising a fix. Did you ever learn about his methodology?
They got bladder for money now.
But he said they have a bladder replacement for a movie, that would fix it. We don't have a bladder. It would fix it till the bladder leaked. No, it's, here's the way I feel about these fuel tank leaks, okay? First, it's not a matter of if, it's when a wet wing's going to leak. Sure. Eventually, they're going to leak. Using auto fuel seems to be a detriment to that sealant. I see more leakages and travelers and cheetahs that have used auto fuel than I do ones that haven't, and tigers. You got to use the right stuff, use it in the right sequence. It helps when it knows what they're doing. In fact, it's almost mandatory, and it's probably one of the more screwed up repairs I've seen out there. I've had them where they've been gobbed over and gobbed over and gobbed over. We've actually dug out as much as we had over 2 gallons of dug out sealant out of one fuel tank on a Tiger one time. I mean, it was unreal. I mean, stuff was in there, places 6 inches deep. And it just kept piling over and piling over and piling over. And you wonder, okay, when's the guy going to wake up? But, apparently they never did. So that's the thing that makes it very difficult to quote a job. I will not quote one, by the way. If somebody brings one to my shop, I'm sorry, I will not quote it, and I cannot guarantee it. It's time and materials, and it will leak when it leaves. And that's just about the best I can say, because I really don't like to do the jobs. I have spent hundreds of hours, literally, doing warranty work on fuel cells. We've had, if it's a purple glue airplane, or if you've got otherwise delamination, then expect that this is real prevalent with late 74 and all 75 travelers, by the way. We're running into an awful lot of this now. Delamination in the fuel cell areas, that's where it's leaking. The bonding's kind of loose there. Got to be flush riveted. And that's a whole different area, Rick.
But that's quick.
But, you know, I'll plan to spend between $5,000 and $10,000 to get that problem. To get it done right. Find a set of late model wings and put on it or something. But, just say, that's one thing. It just, I read in something that I'd never quite seen the other day. We were, I don't know how many of you saw Trailer Plane ads or heard about the.
Well, there was part 2 of Sun and Fun 1997, getting to hear Ken talk again. So we hope you found all that useful and informative. Stay tuned for part 3 or maybe part 4 and 5. We don't know. We have a lot more video to do. But thanks for watching and have a great day flying your Grumman. Freckles, our cat supervisor, and we'd like to introduce the new cats to you. We have Hopscotch there on the left. The other small ginger is Tarzan. He came with that name, and his sister will be popping up in just a second, and her name is Sweet Pea. These are the new cats that we've adopted into our home. It's going to be a nice little family, and we're having a ball. Thanks for watching.